Hi there, and welcome to Grey Muzzle Geekery for the week of January 6th, 2020, episode 35. I'm Dusty Red, and with me as always,
I'm Dusty White.
And let's get into this month's Geek Battle Cry. This month's Geek Battle Cry of thank yous and shoutouts go first to our Patreon supporters, Bada, Chad, Chris, Clay, Delaron, Donna, Matt, Redcoat, Ryan, Silver Gaudaman, and Travis.
If you love our logo as much as we do, be sure to visit the To Improve Your Day page on Facebook to see more of Travis's work.
If our intro gets stuck in your head as it does ours, be sure to check out the musician, Pepper Coyote, on Spotify, or you could purchase his work directly from his Bandcamp page.
Also, be sure to check out our greater family of geekery.
If you've enjoyed some of our commissioned art pieces, be sure to check out Quack Quack Honk Designs at www.quackquackhonk.com.
For more geek news, be sure to listen in every Thursday at the Geek Awakens podcast, hosted by Mitch Ladd.
If you enjoy 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, be sure to join DM and friend of the show, Pat Rickert, every Monday night for Loaded Dice Adventures on Twitch.
If you have the need for plastic-dipped weapons for a variety of cosplay or live-action role-playing game needs, be sure to check out the Forge of Wrath page on Facebook.
And finally, if you have miniatures that need painting and want to be the envy of all your friends, who better than our friends at Night Owl Painting? Be sure to check out the Night Owl Painting page, and that's Night with a K, on Facebook.
And if you want to be part of next month's Grey Muzzle Geekery Battle Cry, be sure to check us out at Patreon at Grey Muzzle Geekery.
It'd be nice to hear from you guys and to help support our little endeavor. And again, thank you to everybody who supports us through financial means or through arts and gifts and...
Or shares.
Shares and likes and thumbs up and hit subscribe and that button. Whoa, YouTube stuff. Anyway. So let's go immediately into this week's news. News.
The choice is yours and yours alone. Do you recognize these words? No, then this news may not be for you. If you do, then you know them to be the wise words of Mighty Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple, a 1990s Nickelodeon game that made all of us want to be mini Indiana Jones. Legends is coming back, but this time for adults. Nickelodeon, along with Stone and Company, are bringing back the show to be shown on yet another forthcoming streaming service known as Quibi. This new streaming service will be focused on 8 to 10 minute videos or quick bites. Quibi promises that new versions will attempt to preserve some of the favorites from the original show, but wants to show them at a grown-up level, for the audience that's grown up right along with them. Hey Red, can you name the 6 teams?
Oh, that's not fair. Are we going? Oh, you got them written down in front of you. So, Blue Barracuda, Silver Snakes, Red Monkeys. Oh no, Red Jaguars.
You got 3.
Let's see. So there's Monkey, Snake, Jaguar, Barracuda, Purple Puma,
Purple Parrots.
Purple Parrots.
You got one more. You got 2 more.
Blue, red, green, yellow.
I'm gonna be insulted if you don't get the green one.
Green elephants?
No.
Green Fonties?
Could you imagine green Fonties running around in the jungle?
I mean, same as blue barracudas, I guess. So, I honestly don't remember them offhand.
You're missing orange iguanas, and green monkeys.
So let's read them all off again for our listeners.
Purple parrots, red jaguars, blue barracudas, orange iguanas, green monkeys, and silver snakes. I'm going to need some of your geek cred back.
You know what? I was too busy watching Guts. Oh, Maureen O'Malley. Oh, I had such a crush. Anyway, go back to...
On her face or just the accents?
Yeah, accent, yeah.
Okay, got it.
She was moderately cute, but yeah, no. That's one of those things you look back and go, well, Anyway, so yeah, I mean, they're bringing it back. How do you feel about that? I mean, they're going with the adult theme, so
I'm a little disappointed about what the platform that they're going to be doing it on.
Kubi, Kuba, Haba, Dibi. I think you said it like 3 different ways in your presentation just now. So,
well, it's supposed to stand for Quick Bites, so I don't know what exactly that equates to, but it's 8 to 10 minutes. I don't imagine myself watching an entire... It sounds like it needs to be an entire game show if they're going to do it the correct way and not just little snippets.
And that might be the thing, is they're going to probably try to do a full show out of it, but you could do snippets of each of the challenges, where each of the challenges are their own like little snippet of some sort. And it's another streaming service, so It's going to get lost if they're going to charge. Like, what other games and stuff are they going to have on there?
Well, it's supposed to be only for cell phones. It's streaming for cell phones and tablets. It's not supposed to be...
So, yeah, so assuming the cost and stuff. I mean, and we can't rag on the streaming only for tablets, because remember what we talked about, India was doing the thing for...
The reduced Netflix.
Doing Netflix that way, just because more and more people are viewing their stuff on tablets and cell phones and other forms of medium other than just computers and TVs and such. So maybe they're onto something that could be big. I could see that being a good thing, but the show itself coming back with adults doing more adult challenges, like, is going to turn into just Survivor all over again, basically.
I'm a little concerned. You're probably right with the Survivor theme, but I'm a little concerned that when they say adult, and I'm using, bunny ear air quotes here, there's just going to be temple guards scantily clad jumping out. I mean, I guess that's kind of what they were in the old days too, but... It
was a dude in like grass skirt. Like scary face, sure. I would honestly think, well, coming to think of it, I think the closest I've seen in recent times in terms of Legends of the Hidden Temple type challenges would probably be a trip to like Wisconsin Dells when Dad Bod tries to go across the lily pads in the pool and he's hanging onto the rope and like trying not to fall, and his like 8-year-old kid or something. Like, I guess you get an award for not killing your kid.
I mean, that's essentially what the moat was every episode.
So, I mean, it could be fun for anybody that has that strong nostalgia feel to go and see some Legends of the Hidden Temple all over again with the adult flair, because kids are going to be like, why he doing that? Why he not have a video game? Why is he lost in a temple? Can he just GPS his way out? Where's the mini-map? So, yeah, I mean, if you want to go for that, it could be good. It could be fun. But who knows? So, Dusty White, it looks like furries are in the news again.
Uh-oh.
Well, at least Rolling Stone did an article as of January 6th. I almost said June 6th. As of January 6th, talking about kind of their experience at Midwest Fur Fest, which took place in early December outside Chicago. They can always say, in Chicago, it's Rosemont. Stop it. But they did a review, and nothing that we haven't talked about before. A lot of it is the article that you can find on rollingstone.com, is just talking about what we've already mentioned and talked about in the past, where they mention a lot of the culture itself being kind of an old and new thing. It's old in a sense of Aesop's Fable's been doing it forever, Egyptian mythology, and
80s cartoons.
Well, various cultures throughout the world use anthropomorphic type stuff to deify or humanize creatures and characters and stuff using animalistic features. Again, anthropomorphism. Then it kind of makes a touch of, but it is a new fad again in terms of, it is because you got generations like us who are raised on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Biker Mice from Mars, SWAT Cats, Battletoads, all these other shows that were, I mean, obviously you have the most famous anthropomorphic character who is shirtless, red pants, and big mouse ears. So, emphasis on shirtless. And so you have that's in existence and it's well known, but now they're kind of going back and asking the question, which I thought was interesting: will furries ever be accepted? Will they ever find themselves as mainstream? What do you think?
I would like to think there's parts of it that can be mainstream. There's always going to be parts of the community that just are a little obscure, a little... I mean, we've talked about it before. We have every every community or every fandom has the people that just don't know how to act or socially... I don't want to be discouraging because, again, it's a very supportive community and I love it. It just tends to have some people that end up being in charge of it that just are unable to interact with people on a normal basis. So they just don't know how to be mainstream. And
I actually politely completely disagree with you, where you actually have a large number of the people who are more socially apt and more, as we say, the high-functioning LARPers and high-functioning furries that have taken over these conventions, have arranged and organized things that allow people to get together. The problem is that the media and a lot of other aggregates of such have a tendency of focusing upon those that actually lack some social skills, be it through their own will, whims, or whatever, or outside circumstances they can't control. And the common factor that you see would be autism, is what they mention a bunch in the article on Rolling Stone, where they talk to autistic furries and use that kind of as their basis of, oh, they could be a little weird. It's like, it's not really fair to look at the fandom as a whole and go, we're going to take these people who are dealing with the hand that life has dealt them and saying, well, that's a good swath of these people in this culture, and this subculture at least. And even when we watched the CNN one.
I was going to bring up the CNN one did a good, I apologize, not a good job, but it did a documentary style of this is the culture, but it tend to focus on every person that is behind a furry mask or a furry costume has some type of social problem or some type of mental problem or some type of blah.
It was a really well done documentary, like for sure. And it was cool and it was enlightening and uplifting, and they emphasized the point of, because again, it's media.
It was positive.
Well, it's media, so it's going to sell, though. It has to somehow still draw viewers. And nobody's going to be excited about, hi, this is Dusty Red. He works a 9 to 5. He's fairly socially adjusted. He does a podcast and has some friends, and he LARPs on the weekends and has no discernible illnesses or problems that we know of. So, next case, let's talk about Steve, who has been assaulted or comes from a dysfunctional family or has a disease or something that...
It's a more humanistic approach. It's
sure.
Something it radiates with more people that can find something to appeal to.
And it is a good thing, obviously. It is good to be able to take these stories and put them out there and show that these subcultures and these groups, and I'm sure we'll have to do something in terms of the LARPing subculture, how it also helps people as well. And we talked about it a little bit in the past. But, yeah, so needless to say, and I don't think it deserves, well, I can't say it deserves, but there's not too much more we could go on with this. I mean, the article continues to go on and talks about what we already talked about, where there's a level of fetishization and sexuality that's shown in there. And again, some of the interviewees in there were just basically saying it's strange how anime conventions and other type of gatherings can blatantly sell
fanfic.
Not even fanfic, but just porn.
Yeah. Or,
have all these courses on stuff that would be, again, I'm pretty sure we both promote and preach sexual positivity.
Absolutely.
So you want to go to a shibari class? There's the Japanese rope tying and stuff. You want to go into that and learn your safety. Hey, cool, awesome. But they don't get the same flack as furries do when they have something sexual, some kind of sexual nature. They get more flack than, I don't know, some just barely aged anime girl getting groped on by tentacles. You know what I mean?
So, you're right. I fully agree.
So, but yeah, long story short for that, though, I mean, you can find the articles. Again, it's on Rolling Stones. It was the January 6th, 2020 article that they released. And again, it's not a bad article. It does go, again, into what sells for news when you talk about the subculture of, they're going to kind of poke at people that have different needs and or abilities in the fandom that are positive figures for sure, but it makes more sense to talk to them and about them because again, nobody wants to hear about here's Jim. He's
normal guy Steve.
Normal guy Steve, or normal in air quotes. He works a 9 to 5. He bought a suit. He likes to pretend he's a giant raccoon. Nothing to report. Moving on. So it's typical news. So yeah, but if you want to find it, again, rollingstone.com, January 6th article.
2020 is looking to be a banner year for sci-fi blockbusters. One of the obvious being Ghostbusters Afterlife. But there are a few others in the works that look to be contenders for the top spot this year. Dune, Christopher Nolan's Tenet, Godzilla vs. Kong, last of the WB, or Warner Brothers multiverse attempt, Vin Diesel in Bloodshot, based on Valiant comic series, and of course New Mutants, based in the X-Men universe, after a 2-year production delay. Any of these stick out to you?
Okay, I'm kind of, like, giant kaiju battles, kind of excited about Kong and Godzilla. Like, there's this something about just stompy, breaking things, big monster battle that could be fun, especially with modern technology and if they get good CGI and they get good directors behind it to actually make a story out of it. Like, is it going to focus around Kong and Godzilla? Is it going to have... that would be fun. Yeah. How about you? What are you kind of geeking about?
As much as I hate horror movies, I'm kind of excited for the New Mutants since, for a production delay of 2 years, they've had some chance to clean it up and maybe clear up some mistakes that the X-Men Dark Phoenix probably took.
How's it going to be horror?
It is horror. It's more horror. I've seen the trailer for it, and it is more horror than it is sci-fi.
Do you think going more suspense or straight up just like...
I think a little bit of both.
That'd be pretty cool. I might actually... See, I hate... Like, when we kind of talk a little bit, I hate horror, but I've concluded that I just hate jump scares. I hate being startled. I grew up in Chicago. I don't like... something jumps out at me, I'm going to swing at it or do something to defend myself. I don't like that. But building suspense and building just tension and even if it never releases,
right?
It just switches scenes and you're sitting there like holding your chest, like what just happened? Did he die? Something about that I like. I like scary stories. I like letting the imagination go. But as soon as they start loud, violent noise and screech and jump at the screen into face or something, I check out. Video games, I'm out. Deuces.
Right. Of course, we can't be amiss to both agree that we're looking forward to Afterlife.
Afterlife's gonna be good.
The trailer seems pretty solid.
There's so many callbacks, and we kind of caught a little video of some breakdowns of the trailer with, if you check the trailer out, they have the vertical stack books,
right?
Which is what a callback to the original Ghostbusters. They have the little piano when they start talking about ghosts. And,
even the voiceover of Bill Murray.
Call it fate,
yeah, exactly.
Call it destiny. Like all of that is, and if I'm not mistaken, talking with Bada, he mentioned that. Bill Murray wouldn't do another Ghostbusters unless he was a ghost.
Right.
So maybe, just maybe, we'll get a cameo.
He's the new Slimer.
Oh, man. Well, and that's where we're kind of talking is you think it's going to be Egon that's going to be a ghost as well because the whole thing
he might have been he might be the big baddie.
He could be the big baddie, or at least it could be an homage to him, and especially with CGI and everything else.
The Ecto 1 having a gunner seat, pretty choice.
The only thing that makes me nervous about that though is that is so marketed to be a toy.
Oh, of course.
That's 100. That is the Ninja Turtles pizza van all over again, and the Ninja Turtles blimp, and this is the Ecto One with a gunner.
Van. My brother had that. I had just totally had a.
I had the pizza van. It shot the little pizza discs out and everything else. And then I had the blimp. And what I did is I actually ran a fishing line across the entirety of my attic from one end to the other. And I basically duct taped a straw onto the top of the blimp, and I was able to run the blimp through my attic on the fishing line because it ran through the straw, and I had the turtle jump. Oh my goodness! Oh yeah, I was an ingenious little nerd back then, and I loved it. So yeah, I am looking forward to Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's coming out in summer of 2020.
I believe so, yes.
Summer of 2020. So look out for that one. That may be a midnight showing for us. And you know how much I'm not into movies.
That's true. That's true.
And finally for our news. So a thin white version of this has been available in Korea for a few years now, if you're unaware of that. And now a full-sized 2-layer tiramisu flavored Oreo is expected to hit the shelves in April of 2020. Also, if you're curious about that 2019 mystery flavor that came out, it was churros.
Really?
It was churros. And as much as you want to laugh, somebody guessed it and won the $50,000 prize.
Huh.
So, tiramisu Oreos. I'm still mad that they stopped the Dunkin' Donuts coffee Oreos. They peaked. Humanity has peaked at that point. And then they turned around and made birthday cake, and all went to hell from there.
I think the lowest I ever tasted was the Fruity Pebbles. I don't think they could call it Fruity Pebbles, but like...
It was like a fruit.
Whatever. It was a sugar on top sugar, a topped sugar, with sugar on the side, and I could feel my teeth growing.
See, and that's where I want to fight you with the birthday cake one. The birthday cake was probably the sweetest one I've ever tasted or even smelled. And I mean this as somebody got him for an old friend for his birthday and brought him to a LARP event.
Right.
And no joke, several cabins away, opened them up and you could smell the sugar from them. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And as we were walking closer, he's just sitting there eating them, just Oreos, and eating these super sugary, confetti-filled little nuggets of death. And no. They peaked at the Dunkin' Donuts. They had coffee. Was it the mocha flavored?
I think
Oreos?
the apple ones or the apple pie ones weren't bad.
They were weird. They were decent.
I like any of the ones that use the golden tops, the golden flavors. I am. I like the golden Oreos.
Okay. Send your hate mail to Dusty White at Gmail. So. Yeah, now why are we talking about Oreos? Well, we're going to end this news segment. News. And go down the rabbit hole. So, now that it's the 2020 January, everybody's doing their...
New me, new you.
New you, new me. New me, new me. You be, you be, you. Ooby do. I want to be a new you. So now that everybody's going to the gym and such, we kind of started talking about how exercise is kind of the new thing. And this is kind of personal for both of us because you're back on the wagon, so to speak.
Hashtag Dumbo likes.
Dumbo likes, and that has been a good motivator for you, yes?
Yes.
And people even said it's been a good motivator for you.
Yes.
Anybody else do you know anybody else's little motivation things that you could possibly share and help other people that might be?
I think Instagram really lends itself to finding your own hashtag that will help you be motivated. I find myself going to Instagram and being motivated by just who I follow, because if you surround yourself with positivity, you lend positivity. So I find my Instagram feed is way nicer and way more positive than maybe, say, Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter's mean.
Twitter's just the rude asshole nobody wants in the room.
Twitter's a bunch of assholes.
Instagram and people that tweet certain hashtags. Like I follow a bunch of people that do Weight Watchers and are Weight Watcher ambassadors and things like that. They tend to just be more positive, and everything is making people feel inspired. So I guess I kind of jumped onto that maybe a year or so ago, I think. Mm-hmm. And whereas people would take little things with them when they went to vacation, I just started tweeting or Instagram hashtagging Dumbo, and I kind of just went with it. And people have kind of responded to it and have said, publicly and kind of privately to me that when they see the photo, even though it's, something simple, quick, and cute, it reminds them that they too can be mindful of what they're putting in their bodies.
And it does take little things. It does take the little steps. I mean, you've been doing some changes in terms of cutting sugar out and, a little bit more water and little things like
Hydrate.
that. Hydrate, hippies. Hail hydrate. And of course, part of it, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't inspired as well, as you're on getting back on the wagon. And I decided to get back on the wagon. And it's a case of people look at me and be like, oh, what are you doing it for? And it's like, I've obviously lost an edge as well. I definitely have lost some strength and lost some tone. And for me, I'm never going to be buff. I'm never going to be swole, bro. Dost thou even hoist? Like, I'm never going to be that. But you could definitely tell flexibility, and you could tell for just day-to-day usage of, this. And my big thing is just my stomach's been just really weird the last, 6 months.
Right.
Just between certain foods and whatnot. I used to love certain spicy stuff, and that's been kind of rocking me a little bit. And so before I decided to take any drastic medical changes, because I'm getting close to 40, which means I'm going to get
getting old!
I'm going to get spit roasted by my doctor with 2 lights coming on either end. It's like, see if we can make E.T. touch in the middle. Ouch. So it's going to be a case of, let's make some simple changes. Let's make some, no hot stuff in Coke. And not cocaine, Coca-Cola, calm down. Cocaine's a good weight loss program.
It's just one of those things of the little steps to be more mindful of what you're putting in your body and what you're being aware of, just less processed bullshit and more active.
And so I started to look down the rabbit hole on some other things about, it's not even just weight loss, it's just being fit, getting in shape, doing certain things. And the conversation that you and I came into was, what are we going to do about it? And my adventure with the Ring Fit with Nintendo Switch came up. So, I was very curious about the Ring Fit for a while, and you know how I am. I tend to hem and haw about things, and I try not to make any impulse buys, especially on anything that's over $50. I try to okay, hang on, let's wait. Let's think about it for a week or two. So I waited, and eventually I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a Ring Fit, and I'm going to, play with it and see if it does anything for any kind of exercise. There will be a review about it in the future. However, I decided to go to a major box chain store. It is a mart with a bunch of walls. A mall of, a wall of marts, or marts of walls. That's it. Yeah, that's how we do it. And walked in, and they had a Ring Fit in their lockup section. I'm like, okay. Decided to purchase such. Got home, made dinner. Hour or two later, finally got to open up my Ring Fit. And inside the box was not a Ring Fit in game, but a lumbar support cushion that happened to fit the exact shape of the box. It was scary, was it not?
It was. It wasn't too large. It didn't break the binding of the box. It was a perfectly snug fit.
To which I went, Nintendo has really got shitty with their quality. Or
that's the secret to fitness is lumbar support.
Are you lounging enough? You should be. So I went, this is a problem. And I have worked retail for several years before, not working it. You work so many Black Fridays, you go never again. Then I realized, okay, this is some sort of shrink issue. This is either got stolen internally or on the truck or at the distribution or something. Something happened with this company that, screwed me over. Okay, fine. So I called Walmart immediately and was like, the Mart of Wall immediately. And was like, hey, I got a problem. I need to bring it back. And so the person from the electronics department was like, yeah, sure, bring it back. So I drive in and bring it back to the location. All the while, I'm texting you because you're coming by to where we're actually going to record a couple of days ago. But,
right.
Whoops. I got busy getting swole. Get over there, and you're like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm mad. I'm so mad right now. So I get over there, and the lady was like, okay, what's the problem? I'm like, well, this cushion was in here. And without saying it, she basically called me a thief.
Right.
In all manners of, you've clearly stolen this. And I'm like, okay, well, I'd like to return this. And like, I did not, like, what's going on? So she was like, well, I could give you another one in store, but I can't issue a refund. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a problem, especially since there weren't any more in the store. And at this point, this manager decided to become, like,
her own set of Karens, like alternate version of Karen, may I speak to your manager?
Like, Karen applies a badge. That's what happened. Like, Karen now works for the Marta Law, and it's just like, oh, no. And she's getting snotty with me, and she's getting just like, okay, well, you could come back in like a week when we might have one. And I'm like, well, I'm not leaving.
Just adding the might is just rude as all hell.
And again, you could tell when somebody is kind of done with you and is just dealing with you. Yeah, super dismissive, super, okay, you're still here. Like, you're very much a vibe I got from her was, you tried to steal from me. I got you. Ha ha. You have to leave now because I outsmarted the great ring fit bandit of
Darien
of northwestern Illinois. Woo! Like, yeah, got me, coppers. So it was an absolute headache, and of course I was like, well, I guess I'm just calling my bank to report this as fraudulent. To which he immediately turns to me and goes, well, I mean, you did sign for it after all, in a very snotty
Which
tone.
is so... Why?
What do you have
At the end of the day, you both are humans. You both are... Like, what? She doesn't have, like, a foot up on you because she's the manager of this store or whatever. Like, that's such a... being from...
It's not coming out of her pocket.
Well, and that's my thing, is, like, being from an industry that previously was hard to work for and had a lot of quote-unquote manager calls. At the end of the day, you get into those positions, you're taught to not be that. Like, she would have been a picture perfect of what not to do, and she just had no reason to be like that to you.
So needless to say, my immediate response after she got snotty with, well, I mean, you did sign for it, you did purchase that. My immediately snotty response back was, well, I never got the product I paid for. Needless to say, I called my bank. They're going to take care of it for me. So yay for, I mean, it's still a bank. They're getting paid millions of dollars anyway, charging people on overdraft fees. Let's take money from poor people. Woo! And,
but at least you don't have to, it stops there. You don't have to deal with it.
I was still remarkably calm because...
And trust me when I say that's a lot, given your temper.
Okay, I did make aside from all the joking of the new me, new you nonsense, I did make my little resolution to not be so mad this year. I have been called an angry little creature several times.
He made it a total of 4 days, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't get mad. I actually, I got more mad that she called me a thief than anything else. Or didn't directly call me a thief. She inferred I was a thief. I was more mad at that. I'm like, I've got a Walmart employee calling me a thief. Come on. So it's just one of those things of, okay. So eventually I did end up going to another location that may have hit the mark or may be more accurate or, could have painted a target on your back and got a ring fit. And so this became my little soiree, so to speak, into kind of home exercising again. And now why do I tell this long, grandiose story to get to this little nugget of information here? Well, the rabbit hole I went down to was gym memberships and exercising and alternative means of exercising.
Okay.
And so I found some neat little facts of anybody who is curious about gym memberships. So I found out that 80% of people who join a gym in January quit by May.
All right.
4% of them are done in January. So I sign up in January, and 4% of those people go, nah, brah.
I only laugh because I know I personally have a membership, and I know that January is, if you are a regular gym goer, it is frustrating as hell to keep going to that gym in January.
14% are done by February. Now, that said, hey, if you're interested in joining a gym, join in February.
Okay.
It is known that a lot of gyms will bring up their membership rates in January, and they will have special offers in February to try to maintain those numbers, especially when, again, by this point, a good 18% of their, on average, 18% of their members have left by mid-February. February is the best time to get a best rate, to get a personal trainer as such, with an opportunity to take advantage of the system that's clearly trying to take advantage of you anyway. Only about half of gym members, like those with memberships, actually go 100 times a year.
I feel targeted. I feel called out right now.
I'm saying. But if you're paying $70 a month,
God, no.
But I'm saying, but if you're paying, the average gym membership is about $70 a month, and I'll get further into that. You'd be to make your money out of it. You want to at least go 7 times a month,
right,
to get any kind of like financial
value
gains out of it. That's not even saying actual physical gains. Drink. Gym owners actually rely on the inconsistency of attendees. They actually have to sell 10 times the amount of memberships than space they actually have in their buildings.
It's like airplanes.
Yep.
Got it.
Do you think laziness is actually the number one reason to quit?
I don't know.
So 46% of people who quit gyms have actually cited that cost is their main reason of quitting.
Well, yeah, okay.
Obviously, you gotta, and the way they deal with that is also reoccurring credit card bills. They make sure it's on your credit card, and if you're not paying attention, all of a sudden you're getting
when I joined, I was one of those dumb people who joined Lifetime, and they wouldn't even do it on a credit card because credit cards expire.
Yes,
They'll do it directly from your checking account.
Oh, so if you're not paying attention, it's just a
absolutely
$50 ding, $50, $80, $100 ding, and so. I'm not digging on gym memberships, everyone. Just making it very clear. I'm not digging on gym memberships, but these are some things to consider since, again, it is January and people are kind of getting into the craze. So America isn't the only country that's into fitness. And actually, of the 153,000 health and fitness centers across the world, America has 20% of them. So that's a little bit. And what do you think is your number one attendee state for gyms? What state of the 50 states? Which one do you think hits the gym most consistently?
I want to go like out there left field, like North Dakota or something.
So a lot of people actually say California.
I wasn't going to go with that because people per capita is going to be even larger.
California is actually number 2.
Okay.
So they actually go. Oddly enough, Colorado is number 1.
See, I knew it.
Colorado's number 1 at 21% of gym members actually going regularly.
They gotta, slim down those munchies cravings.
What do you think is the last place?
Illinois.
Nope. Not even close, actually. Illinois is actually ranked near middle.
Okay.
Alabama is dead last with 10.2%. Can you name... I'll even let you do. There's 5 other states here that are in the bottom. Can you name at least one of them? See, you quizzed me on the frickin' Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Purple Parrots.
The Purple Parrots are not on the list.
Let's go with Florida.
Oh, I am sorry. So, of the 5, you're looking at Indiana.
Okay.
Kentucky. Missouri. Louisiana.
What is with the Midwest? We're so fat and lazy.
And Pennsylvania are your so those would be your
something
6
about
states.
The Bible Belt says don't worry about being healthy. Jesus will save you.
Well, actually, you're now catching on to the main point of what's interesting about that. Your income average of gym attendees is $75,000 plus.
Oh, that makes sense.
So now you're getting to the point of why I went down this rabbit hole. So if
alternative.
you're looking at $75,000 is your average income for gym attendees. If you're looking at Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, these states
Lower
that
income
can't
states.
quite afford, $50 a month
Right.
to go to the gym. So, ta-da! Alternative workouts. Now, obviously, I fall into that category of alternative workouts, and I got a Ring Fit to use it to do it. And games have been like a big push for, because you have the rewards with gamification,
Right.
of most anything. You try it with education, you try it with exercise. Wii Fit is a big one some years ago. 10 years ago
Well,
now,
and
at
then
least.
right, but Wii Fit had that problem of it never did either or very well. It either wasn't actually fitness,
Wii Sports did
or
a decent job. Wii Sports did the tennis and the other stuff. Like, you were able to build a sweat, but they didn't target. Because that's the thing. Like, if you're targeting specific muscle groups and everything else, to, like, turn it into a legit workout, I agree
Right.
with you. Yes. It didn't do a good job of focusing on that. Some of it's technology.
they were limited.
You're still limited on technology and whatnot. I know some of the things that are good alternatives, and I was looking at some of the things are, with smartphones having certain apps. You ever use Zombies Run?
I never used Zombies Run, but I had like a Couch to 5K that had like a zombie
Game kind of.
like motivator. Like instead of a drill sergeant, I had a zombie that would go grr arg
Chasing
every
you
couple of
down.
minutes.
How about something like DDR?
I was too young when that became a craze, but I did when I was starting to get healthier or starting to look into gamifying my workouts. DDR was something that I did enjoy.
There was another game that I did not know about, and I looked it up, called Missile War.
Interesting.
It's on your phone, and it uses your GPS, and it's made for short sprints. The concept is, and I thought it was entertaining, I might actually download it just because it could be funny. Not now, because it's Chicago and it's winter, after going outside. So it's small space, and anybody else that's got the game going will show up on your radar.
Okay.
And you could send a missile at them. And they will have...
This might be too current.
Too
soon.
Maybe we won't talk about Missile War. Iran's playing their own version of Missile War.
Hashtag too soon.
It's 2020 and the world's already burning.
Already? Or what already was?
I mean, if you're in Australia, it's burning.
Yes.
So we have Missile War, and now I feel guilty about bringing this one
I
up.
apologize.
No. But the concept of Missile War is, so you have people on their phones, and it's a small, like maybe a block or so radius. But when you click on them, it sends a missile toward their location, and that person has X number of seconds to get out of the area. So it encourages people to constantly
Sprint.
dash. They're just sprinting to one location
Which
to
is
another.
definitely, knowing you, that's more your speed, because you're very much more a
I have no
sprinter
endurance.
than anything with long distance running.
Oh, that's my only saving grace at LARP is like,
Right.
if I can make you quit in the first like 10 seconds, I'm good. But then if you have any kind of dedication, like Jason Voorhees or something that's just gonna casually meander toward me, you're gonna find me huffing and puffing in a ditch. Like, hey, you got me. I have no endurance. So bad. But yeah, so Missile War I thought was kind of interesting though, because it encourages the dash here, and if you dash to a new area and somebody else is there, you can send a missile at them, and they can send it. So you're kind of zippity zooping, like running back and forth. I'm not sure I don't know what the details are in terms of size and zone and area. Like, it'd be cool to do it at a park with a bunch of people, or you just, as if it's like, the length of the park, like I can't run that. Another game, obviously the Wii Fit we talked about. Ring Fit, which I purchased, and again, I will probably do a review about the Ring Fit in the near future, because I did this is day 3 I started doing it. I did it when I first bought it. I did it a bit yesterday on a lighter setting, and then I actually really hammered down and did like a 45-minute workout today. And I was nauseous and lightheaded and wobbly arm when I was done. And for being a Nintendo gaming product, the band that they sell is really freaking rigid. Well, obviously you have VR boxing.
Right, I've seen that one.
You have boxing games, or VR games rather, fitness boxing for Nintendo Switch, but you also have like VR games. Beat Saber's the one that we talked about. I know there's a few other games out there that uses virtual reality type stuff and augmented reality to
keep you moving, keep you active.
To, again,
raise that heart rate.
And then obviously you have a game called ARMS, again for the Nintendo Switch, and Mario Tennis All-Stars, that, again, a lot of stuff for the Nintendo Switch because it has motion control. That is a little bit more sensitive compared to, like, Xbox and PlayStation.
So while we're on the alternative kick here for fitness, I actually investigated this a couple of years ago. I know that I investigated this a couple of years ago because I had to search through my email to find the thing again. But back in 2017, I looked into what is called Nerd Fitness. And this is actually a company started by Steve Kamb, K-A-M-B, in 2009. And he's the author of best-selling, again, air quotes, but best-selling author of Level Up Your Life. And Nerd Fitness is basically a thing you can buy. It's called, you basically buy the access to the website. It's called the Academy. And you are essentially creating an RPG, a character sheet of yourself.
Okay.
And it's ported for all you start at all activity levels. So if you are not active at all and say you're, obese and aren't really looking to, suddenly run a, 5K.
Warrior Dash or Warrior Run.
Right. They say that you can use this site and you pay a subscription to basically level up, and they will teach you how to do exercises through videos and will teach you how to do anything. And they also port it as you could be an extreme athlete and this will still interest you. It has 100 and some odd levels that you can gain. I did kind of do some more research on it since it was something that I looked into and then kind of talked myself out of because it was just not really what I was looking for, but the gamification of it did interest me at the time. I will give it, some good reviews as far as the site itself. Do not do supplement reviews, so you don't have, Keto Life being like, hey, come take our supplement, and they sell that online. They're trying.
I was like, what kind of supplement are you talking
about?
Yeah,
vitamin supplements and dietary basically bullshit. The guy says in there, like, hey, we make sure that we don't do these. They don't have paid links either. So it's, you pay. I did look it up, and it says that based on the fact that you can do mental exercises to do the mental part of dieting and then the physical part of exercising and the nutrition part of the actual dieting, you learn that all through the website. It's, I think, 3 payment. You can pay all at once, or it's 3 payments of like $60. So for a year, it's $177 roughly. Not bad.
Which is still
cheaper than
3 months of a gym membership.
Right. And I just kind of thought that this was unique. It was something different. And they are it's 25 full-time people that are running the site and are helping their members. I just thought it was an interesting concept. And the fact that this guy is like, I did it because I was a nerd. And this concept appealed to me. And you see all the before and after photos and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, again, and this goes back to what we talked about before of gamification and using reward systems. Leveling up it triggers the Skinner box is one thing. There's all sorts of philosophies and or
psychologies behind it.
Yeah, psychological research behind leveling up and pushing
rewards.
up to reward systems that do that. So it makes sense to do something like that. And again, I was going to finish off on the Nintendo Switch thing. talking about that what's become very interesting, especially with cell phone games like this and Nintendo Switch, is that they actually are leading in many fields of portable exercise. What people forget is that accessibility to, I think coffee's done, accessibility, at least we don't have Alexa messing around with us anymore, right? Because I replaced her with the G-man or G-lady over here. And anyway. So, but with portability helps with that, because how many times do people go to like hotels and stuff and have access to the gyms and whatnot,
right? And
use that. Having a Nintendo Switch with these controls that allow you to do stuff, I can literally go
anywhere
with my game and do exercises.
Yeah.
So that's another thing about this, and this works with this level up game as well, is because, again, you have the ability to be on the road or be out or be away from home or even away from your gym and do these exercises with some sort of motivator that isn't just, hey, I paid Steve, $100 a visit to scream at me and tell me to jump and kick and do all sorts of stuff. So it's, I don't know, man, alternative forms of exercise and gamification of exercise, and kind of putting, again, not putting your life on track. We're not trying to be this like, oh, you're out of shape, you need to go. But, being mindful of stretching, being mindful of just kind of taking something out of your daily.
Listen, if we're gray muzzles, we got to start taking care of it.
I mean, I'm cutting back on my cola intake a little bit. I'm trying to cut back on my sugar intake. I mean, again, we talked about it before. Every year I check my blood levels for glucose and triglycerides and my cholesterol and all that stuff. So it's good to know that. It's good to know where I'm at with that, so I can look and go, hey, my sugar's a little high. I might need to tone down. But hey, I mean, we're getting older. Well, anyway, that'll let's claw our way out of this rabbit hole, and let's start voice crack. Let's start a new segment that we wanted to add to our repertoire of segments. And what are we calling this one, Dusty?
Grey Muzzle Game Masters. Grey Muzzle Game Masters. So we decided we would do some brief game reviews for some of the games that we've played. We actually played a lot of games recently in the last couple of months, and one that Red got for Christmas from Secret Santa or Grab Bag.
Grab Bag. Nice. Well, we're also the idea of this too is not just board games.
Yeah, that's true.
We will talk about video games, board games, card games, games. Like even if we do any kind of different LARPing stuff or anything else, we will use this kind of as an avenue to be able to talk and review a little bit more on a technical side, a review of games and things that we've played.
Well, this last week we played several games of Secret Hitler.
What was that again?
Secret Hitler.
Hey, one more time.
Secret Hitler.
Woo! So, who and what is Secret Hitler?
Secret Hitler was a Kickstarter. It was actually funded by Kickstarter. Secret Hitler was created by Mike. I'm going to completely cut this up. Boxlitier, Tommy Marangas, Max Tepkin, and Mac Sherbert. Sherbert being the only one I could pronounce properly. Secret Hitler is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share Alike 4.0 International License.
Yeah.
It basically was help kickstarted by Cards Against Humanity.
Well, by a good number of Kickstarters that came along. And so what exactly is Secret Hitler? What kind of game is it?
What do they call it? Secret Roll Hitler?
Secret Roll game.
Secret Roll Hitler.
Secret Roll game. Man, you know what I mean?
Secret Roll games. So if you've ever played Werewolf or Bang, those are all the same type of games.
And in a weird way, if you want to even go more primal, if you ever played Heads Up 7 Up when you were a kid.
Ooh, I never even made that correlation.
It's a secret role game. It is you have people that have one role that only certain people know, And the goal of the game is to identify who it is. I mean, to a degree, Clue is kind of a secret role game, except you don't have the role. You have to kind of guess.
Right.
But you're still playing that role without knowing. But ultimately, that'd be a good dive into, is Clue a secret role game? Oh. Come on, Tim Curry, let's do this one. So it's a secret role game, which ultimately is a find out who is what. What is your
liberal versus fascist with the extra spin of, hey, there's a Hitler somewhere in there.
And they do a good job with the game too on trying to keep it political in a sense of it is like World War II era and, you know, Hitler obviously trying to come into power, but to stave off some of the I guess issues and obvious, like, you don't want
Nazis.
You don't want Nazis. You don't want family members pretending to be Nazis. Oh, look at me, I'm Hitler, and making bad German accents. They actually have lizard people and snake people as the fascist cards.
So I will give it a couple of extra points for its nice boards and its actual makeup of the game, where it could have been just here's some envelopes, spread out the cards and go for it. They actually do a nice job of making a president placard and a chancellor placard,
like an actual wood placard.
Even the instruction book is very well made, and the board pieces are really well made. Mm-hmm. So I will give it extra credit for being well thought out and made that way.
The game itself retails for about $35. So you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheap in that regard. I mean, in terms of the game itself, it's about average price because you're not getting a whole lot of pieces.
Right.
You're only getting 17 law cards or 17 cards plus roll cards, which are just basically playing cards. And then the 3 boards that are double-sided and the 2 wooden placards and the rule.
Right.
And a little wood chip. So there's not a whole lot to the game, but it is also very well made. It's made to last. It comes in a nice box. It's durable. It's high quality. You got some.
Yeah, high quality would be the word.
When you hand over the president roll to somebody, it's got a resounding thunk because you got a solid like wooden desk
game
marker.
piece. Yeah, game piece. The replayability, obviously, with a role game, infinite replayability because you play with different people. Every game, no one game is going to be the same. I enjoyed playing it with the group that we originally played with. It's our fun group of role players. It was LARP centric group. So we got into it. It was fun. I'm never going to trust a certain player ever again.
Which ones?
Well, one was already questionably trustworthy at any point, and he's always the Cylon. But the other one, would be somebody that I would trust on any given basis that maybe I won't trust anymore because he played me like a fiddle multiple times. So it was fun. It was a good experience. I like that the rules alter how many players there are.
Well, and that's one thing I was going to as well interject of. So you need at least 5 players.
Right.
And it goes up to 10. So that gives you an idea of, this is not just hey, me and a friend are playing, or me and a couple friends. You need a minimum of 5 players, else you cannot play.
I also realized that nowhere in the handful of games that we played did the liberals ever win.
Okay, so this could be into, I'm going to ask, what were some good things and some bad things? Let's start with the bad things about the game. What are some negative traits about the Secret Hitler? Because again, sum up version quick, everybody gets a roll, everybody gets distributed cards, you'll have at least 5 players up to 10, and you go around the table working off of imperfect information to find out who is secretly Hitler in the group.
Right.
Who are his
Fascists.
fascist comrades, and then the rest of the table are liberals. But nobody knows who's who, really, except for the fascists. But nobody else knows who's who because they need to keep their role secret. So not only Hitler is a secret, but everybody else is a secret. So while you're going around the table trying to figure this out, you're going through the game trying to pass these laws, and the laws are nothing more than blue point, red point, blue point, red point, and eventually you come to a winner that way. Right. Obviously, special conditions happen that alter the game, but it's a very simplistic game. We had a family friend that came by at when we were over at Miskatonic Brewery, and she's never played it before. She never heard about it, and she was
able to pick it up
within
real 5
quickly.
Minutes. Yeah.
So, what were some of the negatives about this game?
I think some of the negatives about it happen to be it's kind of not real clear when the winner wins or when the win happens, because the chance, like, if it's not really specific on. Oh, I'm getting clarified while I'm speaking here.
Yeah, it is absolutely stated as soon as there's 3 cards on the table.
So maybe it was just my misunderstanding the first round that we played. But I guess after that, then there's really not any negatives that I would say. Yourself?
So you were actually on it, and you deviated, which is making me pull the last of my hair out. We had the fascist win every single time.
Oh, that's true.
I think, and I haven't played enough, and I'm wondering if the number of players, when you have an odd number of players, if you have 5 players, you have 2 fascists and 3 liberals. If you have 7 players, you have 3 fascists and 4 liberals. So at that point, and if you have 9 players, you have 4 fascists and 5 liberals. I think when you have odd number of players, you start sliding toward advantage towards red team or fascist team, because at that point it's 5-on-4 or 3-on-4 that you just need to convince one person. You have your team of 2 or
you
a team of 3.
convince somebody to believe that someone else is what they're not.
Our smaller game of 5.
Right.
There were 2 fascists, 3 liberals. All we needed to do is convince
one person,
1 liberal, and now it's 3-on-2.
Right.
Whereas if it's 6 players, you still only have 2 fascists, but now you have 4 liberals. So even if you convince one, now you're just at a split 3-on-3.
And I think that's what I ran into with the voting, the 9 and ja.
9 and ja.
That tended to always go to the president and the chancellor being passed. Because even if I said not, it almost seems like if one person votes 9, there should be like a discussion and maybe people allowed to change their vote or something.
And I'm glad the vote passes like that. I think that is an experience on our part.
Right.
And again, we've only played, at this point, we played like 6 games now, 5 games.
I think so.
And I think that is an experience on our part, because there's definitely advanced strategies that you could use to assist in terms of, they have a tracker where if you a couple votes fail,
then it still gets
along,
advanced.
But it's a point of, hey, maybe we'll just vote this guy no, let the tracker advance 1 to as our friend would say, to a more reliable data point.
Right.
And then make decisions off of there. Ultimately, you're still dealing with imperfect information. You're still dealing with somebody, like, there's a guaranteed liar at the table.
Uh-huh.
At
Always.
minimum 1.
If not more.
Yeah, there's actually a minimum of 2 liars guaranteed.
Yeah, there you go.
And then you have 3 or 4 depending on number of players. So there's always going to be somebody lying. It's just how well. I think one of the disadvantages of that, too, is you're going to have some people that aren't good at lying or feel uncomfortable lying. And some people aren't good at those games. And some people don't find those games enjoyable. Some people don't like, having to try to fool their friends, especially if they pride themselves on being empathetic or being trustworthy. They're going to have tells that, they're lying or they're nervous about something. And so that may not be the best game for you because you'll be constantly called out.
Right.
And I guess maybe one of the other disadvantages of the game that I've seen is just the number of players. Like, you need 5 people. When we went drinking at Miskatonic, we only had 4 people, and thankfully we had a friend show up so we could play. But when she's like, okay, I gotta bounce, like, well, we're done.
Right.
We're back down to 4 people. You can't play anymore.
Right.
So, all in all, out of, I don't know how many, we got to come up with some sort of ranking system.
3 out of 5.
I got to do 10. I like 10. Because 5 is just out of 5. Then you get into like 2.5 stars. Like, a half star is a dying planet or something. Let's not go that route. So out of 10 points, I guess. Out of 10, maybe we'll do a poll, a listener poll, or a Patreon poll that allows us to come up with some sort of BS scale. Two tail wags and an ear wiggle or something, or 5 gray whiskers or 10 gray whiskers.
I would give it a 6 whiskers out of 10.
6 out of 10, really?
I enjoyed it. It's one of those things that maybe 1 or 2 rounds is good and kind of breaks in the, okay, let's do something else for the evening, or gets the fun of it's almost like a good icebreaker game for the evening. So do
you think the speed of the game is a good
that's a positive. That's definitely
how
a
long's
positive.
the game? Anywhere from...
I think it ran maybe 10-15 minutes per round per game. It didn't feel like it was running longer than that.
So the average game that I was looking at was about 20 minutes for the one at Miskatonic.
Okay.
And then it was about 40 minutes when we had 7 players.
Okay.
So but again, it was 40 minutes because we had a lot of talkers that were trying to figure out points of data and find reliability and
control the table.
Control the table a little bit. But I mean, yeah, so it's still short games. It is made to be a short game. The speed
in which people take turns or have the chance to talk or have the chance to affect the game is quicker.
And you don't have a level of attachment. Like, there's some other games that we've played where if you are on Team A or Team B and you play for 4 hours and you lose, there's a bitterness there almost.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played a game that probably was a 12.5-hour board game that we played, and ended up losing because of another player made a silly mistake. And I was mad. Like, I was legitimately table flipping mad because I had dedicated 12 hours into this game that ended up with a poopy win condition. And just like, what the crap, I just spent all this time. Yeah, the game was fun, but I'm not saying I need to win, but just the way everything kind of panned out was like just upsetting. Whereas a game like this, a hidden role game where, hey, we called you out as Hitler, you lose, or hey, Hitler won. Okay, next game. Next game, moving on. There's a less of attachment, so you're not... You can play a little more fast and loose. So which makes the lying to each other a little bit easier when you know that there's not a dire consequence or even a time invested to it.
Oh, that's a good point. So how many whiskers you give it?
I'm currently giving it probably an 8 or a 9. It's one of my favorite games currently because, again, unlike something like Battlestar Galactica or Shadows over Camelot or even Fury of Dracula, all games we'll talk about in the future, there's not that time investment in there. You're not putting in minimum of 2 hours, and then if you win or lose...
Right.
You have that, okay, because there's a level of attachment and investment that you put in that you want to kind of win.
You still want to win.
You want to win. And I think that climb grows the more time you put into it on both sides. Whereas, half-hour game, something like Love Letters, another example. They're 20, 10-minute games. You lose, you move on. You play another round. You lose, you move on. There's a very American style of mentality with those kind of games that say you try, you lose, you move on, you go again. Whereas there are some European games that focus heavily on a point tracker. A lot of European board games actually have point trackers around the perimeter of the board to emphasize this is your score. This is...
Right.
We're keeping track. We're keeping tally. Go. So it's a very, very Americanized type of mentality of... You fire it off, you lose, you win, cool, next game.
Got it.
So, yeah, definitely 8 gray whiskers for me out of 10. It's one of my favorite games currently. It's fun, it's quick, it's easy. And, we encourage you to go and check it out. We got ours off of Amazon. I mean, obviously mine was a Christmas gift, but
I'm
wink,
sure
wink,
that's where she
Amazon.
got it from.
And, so again, the game is Secret Hitler. It was a Kickstart project that has just been an absolutely fun game. And, I think that'll take us to the end for this week. And remember, everyone, that we are all geeks. And to be otherwise may very well mean to live without passion. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Grey Muzzle Geekery with Dusty Red and Dusty White.
You can support our continued geekery at our Patreon website, patreon.com/greymuzzlegeekery. Be sure to check back often as we start to add geek cred levels.
You can send your questions and comments to us at greymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at greymuzzlegeek.
We can be found on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Buzzsprout.
And a special thank you to Pepper Coyote for our intro theme. And if you like what you heard, you can find more of his stuff on Spotify, Patreon, or directly from his Bandcamp page.